extreme over here. If I'm looking a little tired, I am. I got to go and grab some cocoa powder, but before I forget to do the stream, because I know I'm gonna forget it if I don't do the stream. It's just the way I am. I wanted to talk about this subject. So I feel like sometimes like people they'll see other people and then they might get like kind of resentful about things. So for instance, right? There are some people in your life that might be doing better than you. Maybe they're more successful at you money wise. Maybe their career is better. Maybe they have a better body, all that kind of stuff, right? Hey, Jim. I don't let this thing get under my skin. I don't, when I look at someone and they have like a nice car, I don't care about it. If someone has like a nice handbag or something like that, it doesn't really, I don't feel bag envy kind of thing. If someone says like, oh, hey, I'm really happy that I got this like $20,000 watch, do I feel insecure about that $20,000 watch? Do I kind of think to myself like, man, I wish them bad because I don't have a $20,000 watch? Like, no. I used to be that kind of person where when people were doing well, I used to feel envious inside. And I can be very upfront and honest about it because I think people, they felt that at one point in time, right? One point in their life or another. But what I realized is that by being envious about people, being jealous about people, throwing shade at people, that kind of stuff, oh, thank you, Taylor. So the people that like I was just kind of thinking like, man, I'm mad because I'm not like them or I'm not as talented them and things like that. I realized like that was some really misplaced energy. And I say this because I was looking at some art, right? And I kind of thought about Bounce Off. You guys know who I'm talking about, Bounce Off, if you follow my chat, right? And sometimes Bounce Off will say things like, oh, there are people that I see drawing and they're younger than me and they're more talented than me and it's more easy for them. And I was thinking about it. Yeah, I get these thoughts in my head that pop up every so often. I was thinking to myself, like, I feel like that's jealousy and I feel like that's envy. And that's not a good thing because here's the thing, all the energy, all the mental energy that you spend in your brain saying, I'm so envious of that person because they're really good at drawing or they're really good at baking or they're really good at this or that or this. You could have used that time to work on yourself. And it sounds very harsh putting it into that. But like when you see someone, right? And let's say they make a drawing, right? And they draw so much better than you. And they take so much pride in that drawing that they're posting it online. You shouldn't feel angry about it. You should say, hey, this is something that someone worked on. They take a lot of pride in their drawing. They're happy. I should be happy that they're happy. You guys get what I'm saying? Like instead of seeing their success as something that you want to like pop the balloon of happiness, you should say, in my opinion, and I'm sorry, I'm being distracted by art. You should say, I'm happy that this person is happy because at the end of the day, we want the world to be a happier place. Like, I don't want to live a life where it's like, I come across people who are like happy and they're like, oh, I just bought this or I just bought this. And then you hear other people who are like, oh, yeah, screw that person over there that has like the $20,000 watch. Like, that person's such a-hole and things like that because it also comes down to this, right? Like if you want a $20,000 watch, I feel like a lot of people can buy it, but people, they make these excuses about why they can't afford it, right? They'll be like, oh, well, I can't afford it because it's $20,000. I can't afford a $20,000 watch because it's too expensive. But not too many people kind of sit down and think to themselves, okay, the watch is $20,000. How am I going to amass $20,000 to buy the watch? What are the steps that I'm going to take, right? You can get a part-time job. You can try and go and sell some of your stuff, like flip furniture, that kind of stuff. I think there's a lot of opportunities out there, but it's so much easier to just be like, oh yeah, screw that person with the $20,000 watch. Oh, all that stuff. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not gonna tell people to follow Robert's advice over here, but there are options that you can take. If you want to afford the $20,000 watch. So instead of being all like haterade, drinking the haterade and being all like, I don't like that jerk who has a $20,000 watch. Think about something. Think about something a little bit more positive. Be happy if someone has a $20,000 watch, because chances are they had to work hard for their $20,000 watch. I knew this one person, right? They didn't make a lot of money, and I remember they bought a brand new Rolex and they took so much pride in it. And they were showing it all over social media. It was their college colors, right? Brand new Rolex watch. And I know, people could look at that and be like, dang, that person, gee, showing off the Rolex. What kind of person is that? But I actually knew that person. That person had a really good heart. That person was a hard worker, and they saved and saved for that Rolex watch. So when I saw their Rolex watch, I thought to myself, this is the byproduct of their hard work and their success, and they chose to treat themselves with the Rolex watch, which they could outright afford. Okay, this is not like they went into debt to buy the Rolex watch. Okay, because there are people that I don't know if you can put a Rolex on a credit card, but there are people who will be like, you know what, I want to buy this expensive item, charge it to my credit card. But there are other people who would say, you know what, I'm gonna save for like a year or two or three, and then put aside a little bit of money every so often, and then when I have my X amount of money, I'm gonna push it all in just for the Rolex watch. And that, if so, it makes someone happy, it's like, yeah, support them kind of thing. If they can buy it, if they can afford it, right? If they saved up for it and they bought it outright, and they're not putting themselves in a financial, a terrible financial position, like don't throw shade to them. Like, some people, they just love hating people who are successful for no reason. And I find, and this is just my what I notice in people, sometimes the most successful people, they're actually very much hermits. Like, they'll have nice stuff, but they're very private people. And I think part of it could be because, they don't want people all up in their business, like, oh, hey, I want to rub shoulders with you because you're well off or something like that. But I also feel like they kind of just like monitor the energy that's around them, right? They don't want like leeches and people who would just hit them up like a money tree and things like that. So yeah, if you guys have expensive items, my warning to you would be screen people. Because you don't want to be walking around with like a Rolex watch and then being all like, hey, yeah, someone's going to be like, oh, I want to get to know you. You have a Rolex or things like that. I've joked with you guys. I've told you guys, like, my dream car is a gold Lamborghini. Let's talk about it. If I had a gold chrome Lamborghini Aventador, right? That's like a $500,000 car or so, right? More than 500,000, I think. But let's just imagine if I had that car, I would get so much freaking hate from people. I know that 1000%. People would hate me. People would make all these comments about me and things like that. I don't think I would have that many people who would be genuinely happy for me. They wouldn't be like, oh, well, if Erica got to go Lambo, that means she got $2.5 million in the bank at least, because she wouldn't buy the Lambo unless she could outright afford it. That would be my thinking, right? But yeah, I think there would be a lot of people who would just throw so much shade at me and just sip on the haterade, and instead of kind of like thinking to themselves, well, maybe I'll save up to get a gold Lambo or something like that. They'll probably say like, oh, screw this chick, she's such a gold digger, blah 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 blah. And that's not a good use of energy. Okay, so if you guys find that you're envious of another person, or you feel like you just want to throw the haterade daggers at them, like the haterade ninja stars, like, watch what you're doing. Watch what you're doing, because that is not a good use of your energy. Okay. There are some people that you see them rise in, you see them like advance in life, but they put a lot of work and effort into it. And it saddens me because like when I think about these people, right, it's like imagine the mental fortitude they have to like work at themselves, and then maybe they're showing like little indicators of wealth, right, around sprinkling here and there and here and there. And then maybe they say, oh, I want to upgrade my shoes, I want to upgrade my car, I want to upgrade my apartment, all that kind of stuff, right? And while they're becoming bigger and bigger and bigger, they might have people saying like, oh, that person's such a sellout, oh, look at that person, you know, they have, you know, they're not as down to earth as they used to be because they have like $1,000 shoes now, or now they're all into the whole iPhone thing, you know, like things like that, right? You've seen those kind of things on social media. I've seen those kind of things. I've seen people where it's like you see them, they used to be very kind of like, you know, they didn't have that much money, right? And then once they start getting money, even if their character doesn't change that much, it's like the haters just come out because it's like you can kind of tell that these people get more and more money, and it's just easy for people to hate on other people than it is to work on themselves. It's hard, you know, it's hard, right? Because it's like sometimes it's like you'll see people and they're doing better, and instead of just being on like, man, how can I be better, how can I be more financially secure, it's so much easier to be like, oh, that person must be, you know, doing this, or that person must be blah 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 blah, and that kind of stuff. So yeah, watch how you're thinking, watch the energy that you're giving out. And at the end of the day, right, don't hate on other people's happiness. Seriously, like, especially if you don't know these people, or, you know, like, if you, like, see them from afar, or you see a person in a, like, if you see a person driving in a Lamborghini, don't be all like, oh, that person must not be able to, you know, that person must be compensating for something, things like that. Oh, that person with the dark tinted windows must be bald or something, like, because, you know, I've heard people say that, right? Like, if you want to have a luxury car, if you want to have a Lamborghini, chances are it's a person going through a midlife crisis, a person who is balding, a person who is fat, a person who is leading with their car, right? But for me, right, I would love to have a gold Lamborghini. Why? Am I a middle-aged man? No. Am I balding? No. I just think it's a beautiful car. And for me, if I had a gold Lamborghini, a gold chrome Lamborghini, it would just be like, haha, I made my financial milestone, and that's it. I wouldn't be doing it just to be all like, haha, look at you, you know, you have a Toyota Corolla and things like that. I would get the car really for me, and just so I could look at it and be like, I did it. I did my financial goal. That's it. So, but right, I know if hypothetically, if I had a gold Lamborghini, I was driving down the street with the super dark tinted windows, right? Yeah, people be like, oh man, look at that person. They must be only be able to lead with their money. They got nothing going for them except the car. Yeah, this guy must be using it to get chicks, that kind of thing. Or, right, if imagine if I had a car like that and I got out of the car, right, people would say, oh yeah, that chick, yeah, she's probably with a really rich dude so she can get that gold Lamborghini. For me, I if I had a Lamborghini, I want to have it under my name. I want to pay for it myself. I don't want anybody else paying for my Lamborghini. But, you know, like, that's just the way I see it. So don't assume things about people, okay? If people want to have an expensive sports car, don't be throwing the hate at them, right? It's a beautiful car. I think a Lamborghini is a beautiful car. I think Porsches are beautiful cars, Corvettes, Ferraris, that kind of stuff. I see a person in a car, I truly hope they get it for themselves. You know, I hope they're not leading with the car to attract people, because if they're trying to attract people with the car, they're doing it the wrong way. But if you have a person who worked hard in their business and they want to treat themselves to a Lamborghini, like a blue Lamborghini or something, like, go for it. I'm happy for them. I truly am. So let's see. I'm going to read comments over here, and then I'm going to get going because I got to go buy that cocoa powder. I just wanted to talk about this because I had it in my mind, and I know I'm that kind of person. Like, I'll have this idea, and if I don't do a stream, I'll completely forget about it. So let's see. Yeah. Oh yeah, so I know I'm repeating myself, but yeah, if you want anything in life, you got to go for it. Not any. I did a video about like law of attraction or so. You know, like, I don't want to be praying to the moon and be like, "Dear moon, please give me a job. I really want a good job." Like, no, that's not gonna work. I have to go out and apply for it, right? If I want to end up, let's say I wanted to be a model on a magazine, I first all have to do the steps, right? I have to go ahead and approach. I have to work out. Then I got to approach a photographer, maybe have an agent. Okay, I know I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, I have zero desire to be a model, but you guys know what I'm talking about, right? Like there are steps to involve. It's not just sitting on your ass on a couch and being all like, I hope I get more tones, right? You got to put the work in, and when you put the work in, I find that people have more success. But the hard thing is that getting over that anxiety, or kind of like the negative, kind of like the negative comfort zone. I don't like putting it that way, but I feel like sometimes people are more comfortable being in a state of anxiety or being in a state of negativity than it is like, you know what, I'm gonna go for it, I'm gonna go for it, I'm gonna take the first step, and even if the door shuts in my face, you know what, I'm still gonna go for it, kind of thing. So that's that kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean, like, there's a fine line, right? Like, if a person is successful, right? I don't think people should be cocky, because here's the thing. I want all of you guys to have financial success, right? I've said that before, right? I want you guys to be successful. I want you guys to be happy. I want you guys to have a good life. But I don't think cockiness is a good habit, because, like, although it might feel big and strong to be all like, oh, look at me, I got this expensive whatever, right? It doesn't uplift society. I have known cocky people, and I'm gonna be upfront with you guys. Like, people who are cocky and they're like, "Oh, look at me, I have an LV wallet or so." Like, yeah, when I was younger, I used to feel insecure about that, but now I'm at a point where I'm like, "Okay, so you have an LV wallet, you have an LV belt, those are accessories. That's not anything special." You know, so you got people who are actually not that rich leading with accessories to make them seem like they're more well off than they really are. Like, that's just like little trinkets kind of thing. So yeah, don't be cocky, because it's like if you're cocky, you're actually doing more harm for society. Because it's like you won't inspire people, you know, you won't give people, like, if someone sees a person in a Lamborghini and the person's like, haha, you know, your Toyota Corolla sucks, right? Does that make them want to work on their dreams? No, they're gonna look at other Lamborghini owners and be like, I hate Lamborghinis. Yeah, every time I think of a Lamborghini, I imagine that jerk who yelled at me, you know, saying I'm inferior to them. And then it causes so much negative feelings within a person. You don't know, right? Maybe the person in the Toyota Corolla is really well off, but you made them feel really insecure about themselves, because then they say like, oh yeah, man, I didn't realize, like, yeah, if someone's gonna yell at me and they're in a Lamborghini, and that doesn't make me feel good, like that kind of stuff. Like, don't assume people in cheaper cars are poor, and don't assume people who are in a richer car, like if someone is in a Porsche, that doesn't mean that they're making millions of dollars. There are people who are Porsches that are in the negatives because they're in debt. But people don't like to think about that. They only focus on the Porsche, and then they'll be like, oh, that person must be making lots and lots of money. That's one of the things, like, I think is a dangerous thing about, like, credit, right? Because credit can make people seem much better off than they really are. So yeah, don't be cocky, and then don't go into debt over stupid purchases at all. Yeah. This is a reminder to me that I'm an adult with agency and the ability to move and change, and my inner child who's solving for not the reflection of my. Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, everybody has weak moments. I have weak moments. You guys know that, right? But at the end of it, right? Like, we need to, like, gently nudge ourselves into our goals, because if we don't, right? If we don't take proactive steps forward, nothing changes in our life. And I find that, like, let's say we get into our comfort zone. Like, for me, I like, you know, if it's cold outside, I don't like if it's cold in the mornings, I don't like getting outside of the covers. Like, I'll just stay under the covers and I want to stay there all day. But that doesn't do me any favors, because I have to feed the cats, I have to eat breakfast, I have things that I need to do. So staying inside of my comfort zone all the time prevents me from doing more things outside of my comfort zone. Do you guys get what I'm saying? So yeah, don't stay in bed too long, because the time is ticking, kind of thing. Same like me. I shouldn't be doing this stream, but you know, I rather do this stream than pick up the cocoa powder. So all that things, right? Yep, yep, yep. Yeah, don't be envious. Don't be envious of a person who saves up for material goods, because like even for, even for like a watch, right? It's not like $20,000 is like an insane amount of money. There are people who buy homes for like $800,000, as you guys know, right? They go into these 30-year mortgages. Somehow people can afford $800,000 homes. So what is a $20,000 watch in comparison? It's like nothing. It's like nothing. But we kind of like, I feel like people scare themselves into these figures. Like they're thinking like, oh, $20,000 watch, and then the other thing they think is like, man, I don't think I can afford that. Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to get it. Yeah, I'm just gonna stick with my Casio. And yeah, I hate people who have $20,000 watches because they're such jerks. They think they're all their big shots and stuff. Like that doesn't do you any favors having that kind of mindset. Yep. Let's see. Yep, yep, yep. And the best thing to have, right? Besides, I talk about expensive cars. I talk about my love for Lamborghinis and things like that. But the best car for people is a car that's fully paid for. So don't be embarrassed if you have like a 2001 Toyota Corolla or a 1980s Jeep. If it works and you own it outright, you are doing so much better than people who have to take out loans to get their little Porsche. I rather have a beat up car that works than know that I'm like $40,000 in debt because I wanted to buy a Porsche. Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe you can, like payment plans for Porsche. I don't. If I buy a car, I'm not gonna go on a payment car plan for a car. A car just transports me from point A to point B. I am not going to slave my life away for 3 years to make payments for a car just to be like, hey, I'm gonna be in this car for 20 minutes. Notice me, people. Like, no. You see, all that thing. Let's see over here. All the people who had cars, yeah. Ah, look at this. A great way to put it is don't be afraid to put yourself in situations where you don't look like a genius. It has its limits, but it's good advice overall. That's true. That's true. Michael gives really good advice. Don't be afraid to put yourself in situations where you don't look like a genius. And yeah, if you're gonna, here's the thing, right? Like if you don't put yourself into a situation where you can grow, you're never gonna grow. And it's like you never know what's possible, right? Like for me, right? For example, I've tried all these different diets, as you guys know, right? I tried keto, carnivore, fruitarian, veganism, vegetarian. Right now, I'm doing a combination. So I'm doing like basically keto, but I'm including more raw vegan food. But it's like that takes me out of my comfort zone because if you ask me, what did you do before all these diet changes? I had a standard American diet. You guys, if you guys have been following me, there was times where I was eating tons of cookies, tons of sugars, fried foods, and things like that. And although, it's nice to eat that kind of stuff, I felt like crap. I feel like my mood is a lot more imbalanced if I eat crap food for whatever reason. I don't know what it is. There's something in crap food that just makes me feel like crap for the next day. I feel sluggish. I feel terrible. So let's see. Yep. In my modest vehicle, I feel much more secure knowing that if I get hit by someone, it's not like it feels like life has kicked me in the balls. Yes, Robert. Can you imagine, okay? Can you imagine if you had an expensive car, $70,000 car, and you had to pay payments on this car, and then someone rear-ended you and they broke a back headlight or something like that? Can you imagine the stress that you would feel off that? You'd be like, oh my gosh, my $70,000 car that I have payments on just got into a car crash. Versus if you had like a car from 2005 or so and someone like knocked the back headlight, you'd be all like, probably a couple thousand. No big deal. If I got into a car crash, I will not be one of those people that loses their crap. The first thing I would think is everybody okay? Second off things, crap, I gotta go through insurance. But would I raise my blood pressure? No. Would I scream at another person? No. I'd be all like, let's just get this over with. I'm happy that everybody is fine. Hopefully insurance handles this quickly. The car gets repaired and that's it. I would not be all like, you rear-ended me, you beep 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 beep. How could you do that? Do you know how expensive my car is? Like, no, no, no. It's just like a waste of my energy. I don't want to be raging over a car, right? Because like the car's purpose again is just to transport me from point A to point B. It's not like my worth, my self-esteem is like tied into that car, right? If I have a car, like I said, even if I had a gold Lamborghini, it's not like if I got that Lamborghini rear-ended, I'm gonna be like, oh no, everyone's gonna think so terribly of it. I'm gonna think like, oh crap, the freaking cost is gonna be expensive, but hopefully insurance pays out. I wouldn't lose my crap over that kind of thing. But yeah, the cheaper your car is, like if you get into a car accident, it's like less of a big deal in my opinion, versus like a Porsche, BMW, Mercedes, all that stuff. Yeah. So just kind of like, yeah. Yeah, like it's not like I like for me the reason why I like this kind of stuff it's just like I kind of think of it like ooh, it's like small little nice things. Like why do I think like Yves Saint Laurent $1,000 Chelsea boot looks nice. I just like the aesthetics of it, right? It's not like I'm thinking like, oh man, walk down the street, man, that's a nice, like, oh, that's worth a lot of money. It's just like, oh, it's a nice design, like same with cars, right? You see a car, you see a Toyota Corolla versus a Lamborghini. What looks better, right? A Lamborghini looks better than the Toyota Corolla. Of course, the Toyota Corolla is more practical, right? It's more affordable. But nobody can deny the Lamborghini looks like a very beautiful car, just like the little Yves Saint Laurent Chelsea boot looks really nice. And I'm like, ooh, the little lines. Makes me kind of wish, like, if I was a guy, I would totally get those shoes. I looked at the women's shoes about it. I don't feel like they look as good as the men's shoes. So that's why I'm always on, like, oh, look at those nice leather shoes. Like, I've worn leather shoes on myself. They don't look as good on me. I don't know. Maybe my feet are too small. Who knows? That's why I talk about this kind of stuff. So let's see. Ooh, I'm forever grateful. So Jim says, I'm forever grateful to a couple who helped me with my medical stuff and so on. They paid for a new car so I can get around. Aw. I'm so glad I don't have to owe anything being on pension. Yeah, that's the other thing too, right? Like if you guys can, I would always say like give back to the community, right? Help other people out. I don't think money and resources should be used just to like hoard on to things, okay? Like you guys know, right? Like I'm a big fan of, let's say, being in like these free groups, giving things away to people for free, and then just kind of like having a little community kind of thing. And yeah, so like you give things away for free, it makes people happy, right? You share resources kind of thing. Like for instance, I'm giving away a Christmas tree tomorrow, and I could have keep it, but I think to myself, like, hey, I hear that there's a Christmas tree shortage. I might as well get rid of a few Christmas trees. Christmas is coming up, so let's give away a free Christmas tree. So you're gonna, instead of seeing two Christmas trees over there, you're only gonna see one Christmas tree. One is going away. I might keep the other Christmas tree because it's a LED, but we'll see. We will see. So yeah, if people are more successful, right? You can donate, you can give more, and not just to charities. You can give more to help people around you. If someone is going through a tough time, you can give them money. I don't like talking about money too much, but I remember there was a period of time in my life where I had a friend who was not doing so well, and they were in a really really bad situation, and I remember I gave them some money, and it's like I told them, I said, I hope this helps you. And it wasn't that much money. It was like $300, right? But I'll never forget how immensely grateful they were for that money. And it's like I remember thinking to myself, I'm happy that I have this money to give, because like if I needed that money for myself, right, I wouldn't be able to give it. But I gave it to them, and then their life turned around, and they were in a much better place just because of like something like $300. So yeah, like if you can, like, see money as that way. You don't have to see money as like the root of all evils, or something like, oh, if people have a lot of money, then they must be greedy, or they must be selfish and things like that. There are some people out there where they make a lot of money, but they also donate a lot of money. They give money out to charity, they help people out. If they see like a person who's like a single mom, maybe they'll give them some money. They find that those kind of things out, or they go to a shelter and they drop off supplies. Like, there's a lot of what I believe to be guardian angels out there. It's just that they don't want the name, they don't want the recognition. I'm sure there are celebrities out there who donate to philanthropic charities kind of thing, right? Like maybe education, homelessness, animal welfare, environmental, but we'll never know about that because they choose to just be anonymous, right? They don't want people to be hitting them up and being like, hey, I found out you made a $1 million donation to the World Wildlife Fund. Hey, Richard Smith, can you give me some money too? Right? If you're anonymous, it's good that way, because it's that money can't be traced back to you publicly. The only downside is that if you're a rich person, people could say, oh man, that person, Richard Smith, he doesn't donate anything, right? Like, he's just a rich, greedy jerk. So yeah, that's the thing. Like, don't assume that people don't donate money. There are a lot of people. There's a lot of people who donate money, but they just don't want to publicly advertise it. They don't want to tell people about what they do with their money, because once you start telling people that you give away money, then people could be like, hey, hey Richard, or hey Robert. I forgot what name I used, right? Yeah, my life is getting a little difficult right now. I could really use like $10,000 to help me out with my credit card bill. And the only reason why this person's asking is, coincidentally, the timing comes out that this person just donated $1 million to World Wildlife Fund, right? So I had a situation in my life, right? It was someone very close to me where something happened. A person got a financial windfall, and once the money came in, like, a person came out from the woodworks to ask that person for money, and I thought it was so disgusting. But yeah, it's like, if people pick up that you have money, then they could feel like, oh yeah, sorry that your grandpa died, but or sorry that so and so died, sorry your spouse died, but yeah, times are tough for me. I could really use a small loan, or because we're family, or because we go back, or we're classmates. I don't know what people use, that kind of stuff, right? Like, I could really use $10,000 kind of thing. So watch out, because sometimes when people are in grief, they don't have their defenses up, right? It's easy to take advantage of a person in grief. So if you know someone who maybe lost someone dear to them, like if you're a friend or your family member, you gotta like keep your antennas up, because that's the prime time that you might get some vultures being all like, oh, so sorry that so and so died. Oh yeah, let me tell you about, how I'm suffering too, kind of thing. I had this credit card debt, and, it's really tough for me, and Christmas is coming up, and I need a bike, and all that stuff, like, kind of thing. So, all that thing, right? So, no, yeah, I'm giving away a faux Christmas tree. So all that thing that I'm talking about. So yeah, so watch how you think, and watch how you think about other people, because if you think negative thoughts towards other people, or you're just mad at them kind of thing, it's not good to have that kind of like feeling within you. And then same thing, right? Like, sometimes I read things on YouTube and it pisses me off. And then I get really mad about some certain YouTube comments. But what I choose to do is, I know that either A, I ignore it, or B, I hide those comments, right? And it's like, I don't want to, like, there are certain comments that got under my skin. And I remember I was just kind of like really pissed off about it. And then I kind of took a step back and I said, why am I letting this rob me of my happiness? Like, why? Like, I'll just be enjoying, like, maybe, I'll be enjoying something, and then I'll just like read a YouTube comment, and then it'll just get under my skin, and then it's like my mood is like totally sour for about like 10 minutes or so. and I'm like, oh my goodness, there's a YouTube comment that says blah 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 blah, and I don't know if people recognize that, but it's like a person, like if you leave a YouTube comment to a person, it actually can affect a person. Yeah. Like people might think like if they say something oh, you're ugly, or like, oh, you suck, like that thing would just be like Teflon, but a person who reads it, they're an actual human being behind the screen. I remember I have a friend, and her daughter wanted to get on YouTube, and this was like years ago, right? And then she had to get off YouTube because she was like a teenager, and then someone sent comments and they're saying like, "Oh, you're so ugly." And I remember thinking to myself like, who the hell would tell a young teenager like you're so ugly? But it was so, it was just like uncalled for, because I mean, like, I met the teenager, right? They're a very nice person, very sweet person. Definitely not ugly in my opinion, but yeah, a parent had to step in and say, yeah, they're not gonna have their kid be on social media because they don't want their kid to be subject to these like keyboard warriors, or these people who just feel so comfortable saying all these kind of mean comments. So yeah, spread love, not hate, exactly. So if you choose, to like spread anything online, I would say think about it. Does this promote positivity? Does this encourage this kind of stuff, or does it just spread negativity? Because I think when we go on with our life, right, as we go on into the world, right, we should try to, like Sereno says, right? Spread love out there in the world. It sounds very cheesy to put it out there, but I find that the more loving you are to people, right? It's like it it makes the world a better place. I know that sounds so terrible. If it sounds so stupid for me to say it that way, but truly, like if I went out in the world and I said, ah, man, this person sucks, and this person sucks, and this person sucks, right? I'm not doing the universe any favor. I'm not doing myself any favor. I'm not improving myself by saying so and so, this person sucks. Instead of spending all that time telling everybody that they suck, I could be using that to work on myself, right? And then instead of focusing on other people, sometimes people just need to really focus on themselves first. You can't help other people as well if you don't help yourself out first, you see? And sometimes it's hard for people to like kind of like keep that kind of thing in mind, because it's like people just think to themselves, right? Like they don't really want to look within themselves, and yeah, for whatever reason. I think it really comes down to a comfort reason. But yeah, so I'm going to get going. Oh, it's almost 9 o'clock. Gosh, but I have no one to like blame except myself about this cocoa powder kind of thing, and I will talk to you guys later. And yeah, I encourage you guys, spread love in the world. Don't make enemies, you guys. Like life is too short, okay? Don't tell people that they suck, okay? I don't get anything out, and I hope none of you guys talk down to other people as well. There's always ways that you can phrase things better. Instead of telling people like, I can't believe how stupid you are, right? Just being all like, oh, can I make a suggestion? Next time that you do this, think about doing it this way. Like if once you start doing personal insults in there, it's like whatever positivity is out there, it just like gets splat, right? You can always phrase things differently, okay? Don't go for the jugular kind of thing. And if you have people in your life who, oh, I just got to come. But if you have people in your life who are just like tearing you down, or they're just like sipping the haterade for no reason, like don't take it personally too much, because like I said, it tells you more about them than it tells you about you. Okay? Like if I'm walking down the street and someone's like, "Oh, look at you," like, "Oh, I don't know, like your handbag sucks," right? I'll be like, maybe I feel self-conscious. I'll be like, "Oh man, I guess my handbag really is ugly," right? Who knows, right? Let's just give an example, right? But you have to ask yourself, like, what kind of person is it to just like call out a random stranger on the street just to say that their handbag sucks? That's pretty superficial person, right? That's a person who is just like, don't you have anything else better to focus on than my freaking handbag? Just an example here, right? But you guys can kind of probably think about other people in your life and then just do that kind of stuff. No, I don't have any of that kind of stuff. But yeah, just like do that kind of stuff, okay? And then just like watch yourself, watch the energy around you, because if you are around toxic people, I'll tell you this straight up. If you're around toxic people, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Don't be surprised if the toxicity starts spreading into you. You know, it's like clawing into you, and then it just drags you down. And maybe you try to uplift these people, right? Maybe you try to tell them like, oh, you know, you shouldn't word things like that, and then they just lash out at you even more. Like, it's not your responsibility to like remove the toxicity out of a person. You can guide them, you can encourage them, but like if someone's gonna be like saying things to you for no freaking reason, and it's like you're not throwing shade at them, it's like they just feel comfortable like saying certain things, like kind of ask yourself, like, do you want to be around that kind of person? And if you have to be around those kind of people, just have like a wall, just being all like, okay, we got drywall in between us, I'll be nice to this person, but I'm not gonna let any other comments stick, because I know this is one toxic person, and I want to have like my freaking face shield over here, my brain shield, to protect my brain. I know the people around me that, that are toxic, and I know the people who actually do care for me. Like, you cannot, you got to be able to separate these kind of people, because if you don't separate these kind of people and you start thinking this toxic person is your friend, they will go into your defenses, and they can absolutely ruin you for a temporary period of time. And notice I say temporary, right? Temporary. And yeah, watch out for people who make it sound like without them you're completely lost, and like they're the only redeeming factor that you have in your life. Like, the people who are like, oh, I'm the smart one and everybody else that is the enemy, right? I shared with you guys that story, by the way, and I know I'm getting off track, but I shared with you guys this story where there was this one person that I knew that had such great friends, and then they met a woman, and she just alienated the guy from all his friends. And now he's turned into a person that I don't recognize anymore. And I honestly don't feel comfortable trusting anymore. And it's just such a shame, because I knew this person for over 10 years. Over 10 years. I think I met them around 2009, around there. So yeah, people change. People change a lot when they're around bad people, and you can't save them. You can only save yourself. You can try and tell them, hey, that person is dragging you down, like, watch out, I think that person is bad news. But if that person has more of a psychological hold, doesn't matter if you knew that person for like 5 or 10 years, you become the enemy. And it's such a sad thing to say, right? But it's like when you look at things and you say, like, this person had such good bonds with all these other people, and now there's no bonds, there's so much hurt, because it's like that person just said, like, oh, I don't want you in my life, you guys are against my girlfriend, and if you're against her, then you're against me. It's like all that kind of stuff. It's very like black and white kind of thing. Like, you need to be okay with my girlfriend, and if you're not okay with my girlfriend, I don't care if I've known you for 10 years, 20 years, or all my life. I don't care, we're blood related, but I'm gonna X you out of my life because she matters more than all of y'all. And it's sad. It's sad, and it's stupid, and I don't wish them bad, but I hope that they come to their senses soon. And I feel bad for them, because it's like they have so much people in their life that love them. And it's like when I was talking to them, right, it's like they would just be spewing so much like bad things, like, oh, this person doesn't have my back, or this person is this, or this person is that. And it's like I have to think about it. It's like you have people who are like, I want to reach out to you, I care about you. And then you got another person who's like, I don't want to do anything with those people because they don't like my girlfriend. It's stupid thinking, but they made their own choice in life, kind of thing, and they got to live with it. And I don't see them turning back and admitting that, hey, maybe they really did screw up. maybe it wasn't a smart idea to throw away so many people in their life that really had their back. So, in their best interest, I hope their relationship works out. I got my doubts, but at this point, they better buckle down. They better buckle down, because the moment that that person leaves them is the moment that they lose face to everybody who they burn bridges with. Who they said, I don't need you in my life. I got my girlfriend. So all that thing, right? It's just, yeah. So yeah, I don't want to spend too much time talking about that person, because I don't talk to them outside of like maybe once a year. That's it. But yeah, see, like that kind of people, like you learn a lot from people who make mistakes, right? And it's like when you see people doing these kind of things, of course, right? Try and help them. But if they decide to buckle down for whatever reason and then you become the enemy, like that's not a good thing either. Yeah. Uh, so I really, really, really got to get going before that freaking market closes closes. And I'm like, you guys, it's like 10 p.m. and I have no cocoa powder to account for. But yeah, I will talk to you guys later. And thank you, Robert. Yeah, I really, you know what? I'm happy with that teddy bear. That teddy bear, it's off to another home. It's, I hope it's loved and adored. And yeah, I think possessions are meant to be to bring happiness to people. And I'm not going to like, I'm not gonna be all like, oh, my happiness is in this freaking teddy bear, or like, oh, I love this pillow so much, because it's not healthy. Like these are not what calls it, like living beings. It's just a pillow. I could buy another pillow and things like that. And that teddy bear was taking up so much space. So that's my little way of just saying, yep, okay, I'm letting go of things, and I hope happiness is spread. And I really do hope that brightened that person's roommate with their exams. But I didn't hear any update about that. But yeah, you guys take care. I shall see you. And yeah,